Ever feel like no matter how hard you try, your music's not good enough? Because me too. I think about it weekly, daily sometimes. Instead of quitting, these are the strategies I use to keep going. And when progress feels like really slow and you're like, I don't want to open up Ableton or FL, these are the strategies that get me through that. Whether you're just starting out or struggling with kind of the beat block right now, I hope these tips will help you get through some tough moments. Let's dive in. One thing I do is I stop worrying about being unique. Like I genuinely just pull up a tutorial on YouTube and like whatever melody they're making, I literally just copy the melody without worrying about being original, making it my own. Like I don't care, like whatever melody they're putting in their piano roll, like that's the melody I'm putting in my piano roll. The purpose is not about making your own song. It's about creating and learning something. Like whatever you learn from following that tutorial, you will bring in your own production and you are getting a sense of like creation, but you're not like stressing yourself out where you have to be like, I have to make something like really good. No, you don't. Just follow the tutorial. This is one I learned in music production school at Icon, and you're gonna get it for free. But basically is you go into Ableton and the rule is whatever you add, you can't take out. So if you add a loop, if you add a drum, even if you add a MIDI note, you can't take it out. And this really helps you get out of your head and not worry about like over editing, overthinking, or like whatever you add on, like you just have to work with it. And I really like this because I'm an overthinker. I love overthinking. And this activity specifically helps you kind of break that habit. If that sounds like too much for you, this is like my tip where I'm like, I really do not want to produce at all. And basically you just open up Ableton and set a timer for 10 minutes and you give yourself permission to stare at Ableton and like, if it's a blank dot at the end of the 10 minutes, that's fine. Surprisingly, because you're a producer, you're gonna be drawn to like exploring the stock plugins, or you were like, you know what, maybe try it. Let me try this idea, because 10 minutes is a long time, especially when you're doing nothing. So this is one that I pull out often when I'm really stuck or, you know, I feel uninspired. This might sound counterintuitive, but basically you're gonna make a genre that you don't really have a lot emotionally invested in, or you just don't care for. So for me, that's probably like, you know, I'm an electronic music producer, so I don't really make a lot of hip hop. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, let me make trap. Do you know why? Because I'm not that emotionally invested in trap. So I'm like, if I make bad trap, that's fine. I'm not a trap producer. And releasing yourself from those expectations can do wonders. I know you're like, what? Like, is that it? Yes. Just pick some random genre you don't know and you don't really care. Then you can just create whatever you want and just start the engine. So this one is really particularly useful if you feel like very overwhelmed and you're like, I hate everything. I just use the Ableton stock plugins. That's it. You're like, you know what? Screw Serum, screw Splice, whatever it is. And personally, I haven't explored a lot of the Ableton stock plugins. Like I've spent a lot of time there and like, I definitely know more now, but there's so many things in there that you probably haven't explored. And you just like pull it in and start making something. Having that restriction in a way is a kind of combination of the other techniques that I told you about. Like, oh, it can be bad because it's Ableton stock plugins, like who cares? And then also it stops the overthinking because you're like, okay, this is the toolbox I have for whatever. And for a lot of these tips, you can combine them. So you can like do 10 minutes in Ableton only with Ableton stock plugins, or Ableton stock plugins in a genre that you're not like super well trained. And together that will help just get everything going. These strategies are meant to help you make something, even if it's not perfect. Creativity is not about the perfect tools. It's about creating something, even if it's messy. So I hope they kind of help kickstart you into making music. If you want to see the behind the scenes of me making music, follow me on Instagram, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye.